Five generation, for those who doesn't know, it is more of an American term. 1.5 generation is basically your parents was the first generation moved to, a Western world or any other countries. And obviously, what they left from their country, that's where it's done the experience and life and the culture. And especially coming to the Western world. Things life is a lot better. You have a house, you have a swimming pool, nice roads, health care, good education, safety, protection. I'm not going to name it all. When you have the whole thing and you came to a Western world, obviously there's many things to look at. Many of the family members like, hey, why don't you call Uncle William to sponsor you to come to this country or whatever. And then, your parents and the in-laws or whatever is, started to push you. Oh, look at Uncle, Will, he's going really well in America, this and that. And you talk about how this and blah, 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 blah. And you put a name for your family or the tribe that you made it. You made it in Australia and, you did really well. You sponsor one by one. This is where it becomes a problematic when you started to bring one by one is the fact that you got to support them from head to toe. And even with finance or whatever, getting them a job and whether they help a deposit or getting a house or whatever, it's just from head to toe spoon feeding. Then once that family member arrived, then you got another one, then you got another one, then you got another one. And obviously you cannot enjoy among your own family because you're so focused on other people's problems instead of your own problem. And once you do get married and you have kids, you try to put those sort of tradition and culture on your kid. Your child will be like, integrating, stimulating into multiculturalism, Western society, that you don't see any hardship or trauma or anything like that. And when you have like that, they make you to do this and, you should do that. In our culture, this is loose face or, you got to do this and do that. Got to make the family proud. We've got to make you to study, whether university or whether you got to be engineer or there's a high expectation on you. It's like an investment. And this is where it becomes where I see a lot of the child that is being born is really, really rebellious against their family because they're doing the migrant way to order to survive. They do everything to put food on the table, even though they have limited English or whatsoever. And the reason why I'm making this video, I know most of you guys will understand for being a migrant. But if you look at the early generations that came to a Western world, I only can speak on Australia. I can't speak on any other countries. But if you look at the Europeans, right, whether they're Polish or whether they're like, um, the Italians and Greeks, right? They have very strong culture. Back in the days, it's agriculture, it's not like what it is today. It's more like, they're stuck in that, lifeline. And they and their parents, especially their parents, never grew up with money. They grew up in a system that, the family has passed down land that, that's been, for you guys, and then you guys pocket the land and you guys can build. There was no such thing as land tax, GST, working tax, or regulations, or laws, input, whatever the society that they're in. And when they come to the Western world, that's where it becomes everything what they know and bring it to this country. And unfortunately, in the Western world, there is laws that have been put place to stop the whole thing. Everything has to go by the books and whatsoever. And the more I think about the whole thing, the more I started to realize how many of the kids has been rebelled or ran away from home, has fractured the family sense for not following because they know what's best to integrate with the Western world to follow, the whole thing about the Western world that, it makes sense to them instead of their culture, right? And when you have like that, that's when you have the 1.5 generation kicks in. But those who follow all the way through what their parents say, their life, their relationship, it makes it very difficult, and mate selection or expectation, and as well sibling rivalry and family rivalry, that is out of your control, that you need to compete yourself. And when I think about this whole thing, I started to make sense with my baby mamas and her, how she has changed from day one. And many migrants will say this is like a form of common day baby trapping in today's world, right? And the more I think about it, the more I started to say that is the next video that I have to make, because I don't want to be negative. I always want to find a way for positive route, to find a way that I can go back with my family and understand what is the consequence. But it just doesn't sound like they integrated, stimulating, and in playing the migrant way. And when you play the migrant way, you get somewhere in life, right? But if you're playing the Aussie way, right, everything according to the laws and books and everything like that, you end up like me, scared of everything, and job security, and as not getting a job or whatsoever. Many of the migrants are my people like us, whether it's a Western born or Australian born, that our life is great. We can speak great English, we can read, we can write emails, we can contact someone, and we're never being taken advantage. Where the migrants who doesn't have that sort of language skills, they work as a tribe, as a herd, and work with what's their work within their community, and is dominated in the Western world. Now, I spoke to some people about this. They say it's disgusting where they're not stimulating and taking advantage and using their way, where us locals are not getting anywhere and struggle. Whether it's for jobs, whether for the housing market, whether it's the cost of living, because where they come from, life is a lot more competitive, cost of living is too high, and they do by a means to hustle. And these are something that I look at back and I see the whole thing. I never think about this particular moment that I had. I used to have tenants. Back in the days, my dad rented his house out and rented rooms out for tenants. One of the tenants, they're out of their visa time and it's been blacklisted. But they continue working and make sure they can make money and send back to the country, whatever, right? They're hoping to make money or hoping to get a visa to stay in Australia. This is back in, as we're talking right now, probably back in 2016. No. 2013, 2012. Actually, more early than that. Actually, 2011. Yeah, I remember now. 2011. The boss has taken advantage of him. He was working in construction, didn't pay him for months and months and months, but he was working for free. And after that, when he worked for free, they didn't pay him. So he had no money to live and eat. He made me to go to, what is it? Is it a visa, immigration? I know there's one in Sydney, what I did in Central. It's right next to it. It's next to the passport. To physically, to go up to that person with him and say, can you please deport this person? He begged me to get deported. And that's why I said I've seen a lot in my life that in my younger years. Now I started to look back at it. These are something that I did not know. I'm a very negative person, and you can see on my channel I was very negative. But I didn't understand why. And I guess it's my life experience, the taste. But as a migrant, they're all taking risks anyway. That is something that I need to explore a lot more. What I know, what I see.